All right, so we all have idols and influences in our lives, or people that we look up to. I can name a dozen people right now that I look up to and who has gave me the guidance and, you know, the perseverance to achieve what I've already achieved and what I'm trying to. But if it was someone in the fitness industry, if you want to call it, or the bodybuilding scene, I think one of the main guys that I've looked up to ever since I was young was Dorian Yates. And I'm talking about like the 90s Dorian Yates, late 80s, 90s. A guy like him, for me, what I've taken from him was just a guy who really didn't give a what anybody thought. He was doing what he did solely for himself, did not care, what anybody thought or anybody's opinion. And I think I've, let that kind of sink into my thought process and let that take its toll into my career, because, anyone who knows me knows, no one's opinion really matters to me. Unless it's a genuine opinion and someone who cares, I'll take it for what it's worth. But a guy like him back then, the early 90s, he didn't know what the outcome was going to be of the sport or how big it was going to be now. And he basically, I'm not going to say took a risk on it, but he was one-dimensional. I mean, I read his book, I watched his documentary. He had offers for the WWE for $1 million, and he was doing this because he had a passion. And he followed that passion and turned out to be one of the greatest bodybuilders to ever live. So, if I could take, something from him, it's his training style, his mentality, his dedication, his perseverance, and his drive. And I kind of, take it for what it's worth and study his videos and how he trained. And he was just a no bullshit guy. And I'm trying to, take my career in the same way, minus a few things, some injuries and stuff like that. So a lot of you guys that know me know I started working out in my basement, and I, still have a quote unquote dungeon in my house that I train at, usually by myself. It's kind of older machines and weights and stuff like that. And, I kind of adopted that from Dorian Yates too. He had very limited, machines and, a temple. And, watching Blood and Guts basically was one of the turning points for me, and showed me that actually how, Dorian Yates basically obtained that physique, and, watch him through each body part, and you realize that that guy was willing to die down there. Do I think, to a point I am that way? Yes. I mean, there are a lot of other things I take into consideration in my career, like family and things like that. But, if I'm going to do something, I'm going to give it my all, no matter what it is. It doesn't matter if it's bodybuilding or if it's golf or whatever I do, I'm going to give it my all. Do I think, looking up to Yates has taken a toll on myself or, my family or anything like that? I couldn't tell you. I couldn't say that it has, because, I basically put family over everything. And, I know that, my health and my well-being, it's more important to the people around me. I shouldn't say than it is to me, because obviously it's important to me because I need to be around. I think, in this sport of bodybuilding, okay, there's two ways of doing it. There's a right and a wrong way. And there has been champions and great guys who came out of the sport happy and healthy. And, that's my goal as well. So, like I said, I'm still young, so there isn't going to be anything, too detrimental that's going to be happening with me. But I think I'm doing it the right way, and I think, using Yates as an idol, he just basically gives me the guidance of hard training and dedication. Be careful who you choose for your idols and who you look up to, because, like I said, I look up to Yates from the 90s in that mentality, you know, and there's certain areas of people that I look up to in certain times. But just be careful, because you don't really know that person until, you know, you do your research on them. So I make sure I pick my idols wisely. So basically, you know, growing up watching Yates, when I got from him, the difference between him and the other guy, you know, Arnold and Haney and those guys, was the density and the mass, just the sheer mass, and he took it to that other level. So basically what Yates started was the whole mass monster, you know, era, and he wasn't afraid to go, you know, above that limit. And if you watch his documentary, watch his books, he always had people saying, you know, be careful, you know, you're only 35, you know, you're probably not gonna live till 40, you know, at this size and this and that. And he goes, well, I'd rather only live till 40 loving what I do than, you know, live to like 80 and, you know, be nothing. Do I agree with that? I don't know. I definitely wouldn't say, you know, I don't really want to live till 40 and be like this. I mean, you know, if anything ever happened with my health, you know, you're gonna see me on the golf course or, you know, paint the next Picasso. But I'm gonna be smart about that. But I don't know if I genuinely agree with that comment, but that was his mentality. So he was the first one to basically overcome that size boundary and come on stage like, you know, 265 ripped. I mean, you have guys coming in, you know, 300 ripped now, but he was basically the one that broke that barrier. All right, guys, so this is Maz checking out at the Animal Pack headquarters. You know, one of my idols that we just went over, Dorian Yates. If you guys don't know who he is, go do your research.